throughout my life, I've had friends come and go, from preschool to elementary school, middle school, high school, college. Friends come into our lives, we hang out for a bit, and then they leave. Sometimes they stick around and become our closer best friends, people that we confide in. But even those kind of friends can eventually leave you, and there's a lot of times you can find yourself being alone and realizing that you have no friends. And as we get older, and as I've even noticed, it becomes a lot harder and harder to make friends. Like, even in college, I started noticing this. Because either people are so spread out in what they, like to do, or they already have their cliques that they took from other places, or just cliques that they've already made in general, and it's just hard to kind of break or pierce into those. I mean, in college, I had joined a total of, if I've counted this right, including something extra, like 6 or 7 groups. And I walked away with college with pretty much no friends left. I walked away with a close friend, but recently he, unfortunately, left my life due to wanting to pursue other things, and yeah, I guess his taste changed, but that's besides the point. I just noticed coming out of college, realizing I had no friends really, and it was just like a huge sort of culture shock that, like, the same thing kind of happened in high school where I left with no friends. But, I was determined to make new friends because, I was going to a new place, going to a whole other state. And then I get out of college and I'm like, okay, I have no friends again. And I don't know what to do with my life. And I guess that's what I want to kind of talk about this video, is that making friends, especially when you're older, is actually pretty hard. Because things change for people. People go different directions in life, and sometimes one of the biggest reasons is because they get married. And then throw kids in the mix, and you're just like, wow, you can't even hang out with them, really. And that's kind of like a thing I've noticed until they get older. Like, once all their kids are grown up, then they can start hanging out and doing those things again more often than not. But I guess when you see stuff like that, it really begs the question to me that, are expectations ruining friendships? It's an interesting question I like to pose, but I mean, it's something I've noticed because one of the things that happened to me in college is I was having such high expectations for people to want to hang out, go out and do something, and no one really wanted to. I don't know if it's just because of people I was finding and meeting, but in my experience, there were days where they didn't want to go out and socialize or really just go out and do anything. And I guess that begs, begs the original question of, are high expectations ruining friendships? That's honestly a question I can't fully answer. It's more so an answer I'm posing to you guys, because in my experience, it just depends on the type of person. Obviously the easiest thing to do is to, just go find some other friends. And if you can't hang out with them or do anything with them, then go and find new friends. That's easy to say when you're younger and you have this big pool of friends to pick from, or rather, big pool of people that you know are close to your age. But as you get older, that becomes harder and harder, and you're kind of like asking yourself and wondering if you should just stick to their faults of them not wanting to hang out, or just trying, despite how small the friendship pool is getting, finding other friends. But there are things that you can do, and stuff that I've learned recently, especially with me no longer being in college and having that big social outreach area, that can help increase your chances. And the most common thing I'm sure people have heard is, putting yourself out there and trying new hobbies and everything. And I haven't tried the new hobbies part, but that's because I've already doing other things and putting myself out there. But the new hobby thing is definitely an interesting thing to do, trying to find a hobby that you like. Maybe you like bowling or billiards or darts even. Darts at a freaking bar might be a gateway to something, maybe. Or even just going to a sort of board game gathering at a, local game shop, or even a D&D if you're into that, and playing it there. There's lots of things out there that you can do to find, other hobbies that you might like. Or if push comes to shove, you can always, try online, make friends online. But there is something that is more great and personal when you can make a friend in person, because they're there. They can actually physically be there. Whereas the online friend, my experience, they could be far away and God knows where. So you don't really know. It's a very interesting boat. And I've actually met one of my online friends for the first time in person for his wedding a couple of years ago. Well, almost 3 years ago. And that was a fun time. That's a shame we haven't been able to do anything again, but again, it goes back to the point I said at the beginning of the video. Getting married sometimes changes people's priorities. But for me, at least, what's been helping is I've been getting involved, again, with my church. Joining a Bible study group. Getting more involved in actually, meeting people through my church, and, they're coming to meet me. But it's more of a wide variety of spectrum of people my age. I mean, I have been meeting people my age through the Bible study group or close to my age. But there is, the church itself. It has a huge range of people from young to old, that kind of thing. And I'm also part of the Veterans of Foreign Wars auxiliary branch, which, I mean, it is mostly older people, but it is still, going out and meeting people because, in a way, you never know what could come your way, and maybe you could meet someone young through them that might be their grandson or granddaughter, that kind of thing. I mean, it's a weird way to meet people, but it works in a sense, and there could be some success stories there. So really just going out and doing something is better than doing nothing. And it's at least the thing I've noticed as I've been getting older and trying to find new ways to make friends and everything. But I have noticed it starts getting smaller and smaller, the pool, as these people start getting married and having kids. And it does kind of make it unfortunate, but it is just how life is, which leads me into pretty much our last point, is that it does get harder to make friends as you get older. But the most important thing to do is just adapt and find new ways to make friends. And yeah, it's going to require us to put effort to do it. And I am talking about friendships. I'm not going to really talk about dating in this video just because that's a whole subject altogether. And let's just say I don't feel like I have the sort of authority to be telling people what to do with relationships and everything. I'm just going to leave it at that because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole unless need be. But in the case of, again, it is harder to make friends as you get older. And it's hard to sometimes put yourself out there into scary environments. And even myself, maybe there's going to be a point where I'm going to have to find a hobby and find other people to hang out with and everything over a common interest. But, it is kind of hard when it's the winter season. To be fair, finding a new hobby, the summertime is probably the best time to do, especially if you're more of an outdoorsy person. Because if you live in a cold area like I do, you're not going to find anybody really to go out and do something at this time of year. It is warming up here, so maybe as spring gets around the corner, it'll be much easier to find these kind of outdoor hobbies and whatnot, like pickleball or tennis, if you like that, soccer, football, or softball, even those kind of things. So, but anyway, that's all I have in today's video. Feel free to give a like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Lets me know that you're watching this video. Again, I'm still figuring out what's the best time to post my videos. I am leaning more towards the night. We'll see what happens. This video will be going up at 7 p.m. Central Time. Anyway, I'll see you guys Saturday.